crazy. A little black salt in there too.
So what have we got here?
So it's what did I do? So it's a roasted pepper, bell pepper, and goat cheese, and I added like just a few serranos in there for some heat. A little turmeric and cayenne, and then goat cheese to finish it.
And what is this listed on as the menu on the menu as? What is this listed on the menu as? Sorry.
This is just a soup. We change our soup every day.
Soup du jour.
Exactly.
Well, here we are, soup du jour. Beautiful, just enough heat, a hint of goat cheese, smoky underneath. Well done, chef. So, we were talking earlier about biodynamics, and I recently saw the article Sackby did on you working with Gurgich Hills. How did you first find out about the fact that they had this farm there?
It's a funny story. I did an event for Young Life, and Dave Boss was there, and Dave was kind of really into the cooking. We were at Passmore Ranch, and we're doing some striped bass. There's like three, probably 10-pound fish we were doing on a grill, and he was just running back and forth. He was really excited about the food, so we started chatting, and he was just giving me some of the wine from Gurgich, and he's like, "Hey, what can I do to get you down there?" And I was like, "My anniversary's coming up. We need to do something really cool." So he invited us and told us about the garden. He said, "Hey, just come out and I'll take care of it. You know, it'll be fine, and it'll be a blast." So we ended up going there, and the minute we set foot there, my wife and I were like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing," you know. And he gives me a pair of like clippers. He's like, "Just go in the garden and just have fun." And so her and I go, and I like totally, it's our anniversary, I like totally space it out, and I like run into this place. And I'm just like kidding the candy, start going crazy. But every time I'm picking and eating something, it was like I've had it for the first time. Because it was, the flavors were so much more intense. It was such a whole, and finally he's like, "What did you think?" And I was like, "What's the difference here? Like, this is something different. I'm not used to this." And he started kind of talking to us about biodynamics, and he was kind of showing us, like, he had the steer horns and the soil and everything that they were doing. And so I was like, okay, this is it for me. Like, this just changed everything. Like, I really need to know about this. And so I asked him, "Can I come out and just kind of shadow you for a little while, maybe pick some things and try them out at the restaurant and see what happens?" And he was totally okay with it. So we went out a couple times, and I was like, I just kind of want to take my whole pantry station and start from there and just take everything off and like just do the Gurgich stuff. I'll pick it. I don't care if I have to drive out there twice a week, which we were doing. And it was just, the whole idea of it was just amazing. And learning about it and being a part of it, and Dave teaching me some things here and there, it's been pretty fantastic. So
That's a pretty serious commitment. And coming from a chef, as far as taste goes, you mentioned that you went and you tried a few things, and you can taste the quality initially and immediately. And I think that that's one of the things that biodynamics is known for. It's not, a lot of times scientists will try and say, well, you know, there's really not a lot of discernible differences that we can pick up from these tests that we do on whether or not the quality is even better than, let's say, organics, for example. Not to mention conventionally produced GMO, which we won't even talk about, foods. But yet I find that there's always, when we speak to people that truly tune into biodynamics, there are people that can actually taste differences. And I think that as going forward, it's these individuals like chefs, sommeliers, winemakers, farmers, who are, you know, we look to these individuals within our society as the proponents of taste. And I think that going forward, it might be a really wonderful time for biodynamics, because there's an aha moment waiting to happen. I think with a lot of people that, as a chef and in the restaurant industry, I think that we have a tendency to get caught up on technique, and then there's all these other different things which are all fun and wonderful and great, but I think that when it comes to nutritional value, and Chef and I were talking earlier on about how certain things are missing from soul's missing from music. There's soul food that is starting to make somewhat of a comeback, and I think that biodynamics, as you've mentioned, definitely is one of those ways to bring that missing element, that sort of that X factor back into food, and it's exciting. I think from it must be from a chef's perspective. Tell me about that. Like, when you look forward to serving those flavors, you don't immediately think of tricks or I'm going to do an El Bulli type thing with this.
I think that's what kind of caught my eye. That's kind of what changed, because for me, as a chef, I mean, it just evolving and being better and techniques. Yeah, that's kind of like what you focus on initially. But I feel like once you get the sense of like because what we're missing as far as eating and as far as chefs go, we are missing that like natural element to what food really is. It's so primitive, and so with biodynamics, with some of the things I've learned, it's just the primitive form and some of the primitive ideas that people call primitive, but those things work, and those are things that farmers have done in the past, and like the lunar aspect of it.
Sure.
And so it's like that's kind of what I loved about it, was just keeping food simple, but the growth process should be the complex part of it, and the farming aspect should be the complex part of it. Food onto the table, I mean, I'm a chef, I'm going to do some cool things to it, but I really don't think it needs much, especially like for instance, we tasted a breakfast radish that we pickled. I mean, pickling process is pretty common.
It was phenomenal.
But the taste and the flavor you're getting out of it is just like completely something different. And that's kind of what I like to do in the restaurant now. It's like, I'm going to tell you, like, you're going to have a garden salad, which you've probably had 100 times, but I promise this one's going to do something different to you.
And it's amazing that how such small details can show up in the most simple and basic things, which is, I mean, I think the source of all poetry and beauty in a lot of ways is this simple, ephemeral thing. And these things that we're talking about, produce and biodynamics, they're all, of course, produced within this intricate framework of lunar, planetary, solar cycles, the cycles of the earth and the sun breathing and contracting and expanding and going back and forth. So therefore the food's alive, and I think that that's one of the things that, as food has grown in the past 30, 40 years since Julia Childs in America, we lost something along the way in the fact that there was mass production. The Cisco truck used to be the standby of any restaurant, and I think that slowly but surely, as taste has become more acute on the general public's palate, what's going to ensue, I think, in the following years is going to be sort of a revolution, and I'm glad to see that you're at the forefront of that. Here we are in Sacramento, California, ladies and gentlemen, with Chef Aimal, who is at Formoli's Bistro, and if you have not been here before, please come in and check him out. He's doing some exceptional, wonderful things, and he's a beautiful human being. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.